Weather day here in Cincinnati at Great American Ballpark. Fans coming in. It may be the best weather day we've had so far. It's the middle game of this three-game series. The Reds and the Nationals here on Fox Sports Ohio. On a pleasant Saturday afternoon, and welcome to Reds Baseball. I'm Jim Couch along with Chris Welsh. You mentioned the middle game of this series here, the Reds and the Nationals. Game one last night was a bomb fest for the Reds. They hit 6 home runs in the game, and they now, Chris, have 10 on the year, tying the Major League record.
Remember back in the old days when you had to dial 8 in the long distance? Well, the Reds were dialing 8 last night at Great American Ballpark. Zach Cozart twice, Todd Frazier twice. I mean, it was a bomb fest, as you said. And these balls were hit all over the place. And this is a ball club, Jim, that has had a lot of home runs over the years. A lot of their scoring depends on home runs, just like it has so far this year. 10 home runs by 6 different players. Of the 26 runs the Reds have scored so far this year, 19 of those have come from home run balls, and maybe that can keep it going today.
But Zach Cozart had his first multi-home run game last night. Todd Frazier had a multi-home run game last night as well. Now, one of the guys they're driving in has done a tremendous job on that leadoff spot so far this year, and that, Chris, is Shin Soo Choo.
Well, you know, when the Reds signed him, the word was Shin Soo Choo was an on-base monster. I mean, an on-base percentage over his career, up over 360. Well, when you get on base 10 of your 20 plate appearances, you are really setting the table for the guys in the middle of the lineup. And so far, he's done his job. He's played good defense. He's gotten on base. He's hit home runs. I mean, nothing more than you asked for that you can do.
6 runs scored. He leads the league in that department so far. And he'll be in that leadoff spot again this afternoon for Dusty Baker's ball club. All right, coming up, the pitching matchup of this game. We get to the number 5 spot for the Reds. Mike Leake goes for Cincinnati. Lefty Ross Detweiler for the Nationals.
Of the Cincinnati Reds and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Well, as you can see right there are some fans here at the ballpark coming out in short sleeves. It is, as I mentioned, one of the best weather days of the year. Weather today brought to you by Eric Dieters, attorney at law. Let's take a look at our weather conditions, brought to you by WKRC Weather, Channel 12. They give us this. 59 degrees right now at game time, partly cloudy. The temperatures are expected to go into the mid 60s, maybe even high 60s by a little bit later on this afternoon. Pitching matchup. Let's start, Chris, with Mike Leake.
Well, the much talked about Mike Leake in spring training. He didn't know whether he was going to have a job on this ball club or not, depending on whether Aroldis Chapman would be moved to the rotation. But you can see what he did last year at career highs and starts. He won 8 games. He has 6 games over 500 in his career. Not bad at all for a 5th starter. And he's a guy that's going to pitch to contact and get a lot of activity in the infield. Ross Detwiler, big, tall left-hander. This 6'5" lefty had a good earned run average. He is under 500 in his career, although he had a pretty good year last year. They've got big expectations for this tall young man out of the St. Louis area pitching for the Nationals. A lefty-righty matchup today at Great American Ballpark.
And he's made 4 starts in his career against the Reds, 0-3 against Cincinnati so far this year. All right, coming up, Mike Leake tries to keep it going with the first 4 in the rotation did, and that is a 2.01 ERA. 4 starts, 4 quality starts so far. America for 36 straight years by Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Book your stay at CincinnatiUSA.com and by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. Reds and the Nationals meet for the 2nd time in this 3-game series. Day game today, another day game tomorrow. Big night here last night, 6 home runs and a victory 15-0 by the Reds. And now Davey Johnson will send this lineup out there this evening, this afternoon, I should say. The former Reds manager. His lineup looks like this. Denard Span will lead off. He'll be in center field. Then Jason Worth in right. Bryce Harper in left. Cleanup hitters Ryan Zimmerman at 3rd. Then Chad Tracy in for Adam LaRoche, who has a bit of a stiff back. Ian Desmond is at short. Bottom 3 include Danny Espinosa at 2nd. Wilson Ramos does the catching. And batting ninth and pitching is Ross Detweiler. They'll face the right-hander, 25-year-old Mike Leake.
Now, the one thing about being a number 4 or 5 starter in the rotation, that you have a long time from the time that you last pitched in spring training to the time you finally get to toe the rubber regular season. That may have accounted a little bit for the problems that Dan Herron had last night for the Nationals. Let's hope that does not happen to Mike Leake today, because he is a guy, because the way he has to pitch with his stuff has to be right on the corners, on the black, on the knees, and so on, in order to get the job done easily.
It's the first pitch strike in there to Bernard Span, who now lifts this pitch into shallow left field. Cozart out, Heisey in. Heisey makes the catch, and a good start for Leake on the Reds. Span is retired. Take a look at the Reds defensively. Our forward defensive look. Heisey, who just made that catch, again out in left field, makes his 4th straight start. Chu and Bruce, the other 2 outfielders. Frazier and Cozart the left side. Phillips and Votto the right side. Devin Mesoraco made his 2013 debut last night late. Gets his first start in this game here this afternoon. Mike Leake, according to what Chris is talking about, last worked on the 27th of March in spring training against San Diego. So he goes, what, 9 days between appearances,
which is normally just about twice as long as you would normally be during a regular 5-man rotation.
Jason Worth up there. So far in the year, 2 out of 16 with a home run. Last night in the game, Worth was hitless in 4. He struck out 1 time. Tim McClellan calling the balls and strikes here this afternoon. Jerry Meals is at first. Marvin Hudson at second. Jordan Baker is the umpire down at third.
Well, it's really obvious the way the Reds have wanted to pitch Jason Worth so far in this series, and Homer Bailey did a nice job just by staying away. They want to stay out of the middle in part of the plate and make him hit the ball the other way.
To the left of the shortstop, and Cozart will make the play, and Worth is retired. 2 up, 2 down. Zach Cozart, a pair of home runs last night. He was one of 2 Reds, along with the third baseman Todd Frazier, who had a multi-home run game. In fact, if you go Cozart and Frazier, the left side of the infield, shortstop and third, it's the first time in Reds franchise history that the shortstop and the third baseman have had multi-home run games on the same night.
Boy, you did a lot of homework last night. Come up with that.
Courtesy of the Media Relations Department. Here's Bryce Harper with 2 men out. Harper held hitless for the first time this year. Last night he went 0 for 4. He had had 2 hits in each of the first 3 games of the season, those against the Marlins.
Had an interesting conversation this morning with the manager of the Nats, Davey Johnson, about Bryce Harper. You know, what have you seen different this year that you didn't see from Bryce Harper? And you know, it was a very interesting comment. And Davey Johnson's a guy who'll just tell it the way it is. You said last year Bryce Harper came on the scene when Jason Worth was injured, got hot for 30 days. Pitchers adjusted to Harper. Harper went into a slump for 30 days, and he finally adjusted. He said a young player has to live through that. You can't read about it. You can't look at video. You have to live through it. And it's about not charging one.
How about that catch by Leake on that blistering line drive up the bat of Bryce Harper. Quick reaction by number 44. The very nice catch of that line drive by Bryce Harper to end the bottom of the first. And now Dusty Baker's club gets to bat against the left-hander Ross Detweiler. Dusty's victory last night, the 422nd of his Reds managerial career. And there you see number 1584 overall. Here's the Reds lineup this afternoon. Shin-Soo Choo, Chris Heisey, Joey Votto at the top. Brandon Phillips, Jay Bruce, Todd Frazier in the middle. And the bottom three include Zach Cozart. For the first time this year, Devin Mesoraco and Mike Leake against Ross Detweiler.
Now the big tall left-hander right out of the St. Louis area in Missouri went to Missouri State, and that's where the Nationals picked him in the first round of the draft back in 2007. They've done a lot of work with his delivery. If you watch him today, he'll be a little bit across his body, the same way we talked about Jared Weaver, the opening day starter for the Angels. But he's much better than he once was. They've got high hopes that down the road Detweiler can work his way into being a number 2 or 3 pitcher in a rotation.
Interesting comment made by Steve McCaddy regarding the across the body approach of Detweiler. He said, you know, there's a decent amount of guys that do that. He said, you know, Bob Gibson did that a lot too. He was pretty darn successful.
There's one. Got any others?
Just saying what Steve McCaddy said.
Well, you're right, you know, and I do agree with him, because you don't want to change. I think what he's trying to say is you can't change a kid completely all at one time, a little bit at a time, so he keeps the comfort level. And he's had a good minor league system, and a good minor league experience, and he's got good stuff. I mean, he throws 93, 94 miles an hour, has a curveball and a changeup.
Is it a ball and a strike to Choo? Highlighted him in the pregame. 10 for 20 in terms of getting on base this year. 20 plate appearances, been on 10 times. Hit wise, he's 5 out of 15. He was part of the home run parade last night. One of the 6 the Reds hit. He hit a solo shot in the 4th. Short hop played by the second baseman Espinoza, and Choo is retired to start the Reds' first inning.
Yeah, that was a fastball that he grounds out to second base, and he only throws 3 pitches. He's a throwback in that respect, Ross Detweiler is. His fastball averages about 93. He throws out a lot. 80% of the time. That's very high average for a fastball at the major league level. Curveball, those 13% of the time, right around 79, 80. And a changeup at 84. So he's got good separation between his fastball and his changeup, and 3 quality pitches that he can throw over the plate.
Would you, Chris, consider him a strikeout pitcher?
No, I really wouldn't. Last year he had 164 innings and he struck out right around 105. So, I mean, a strikeout pitcher comes closer to striking out 1 batter per inning. But I mean, I'm a little reluctant to categorize a guy as a strikeout pitcher or not. I'd rather categorize a pitcher as a fly ball pitcher or a ground ball pitcher, a guy that you can run on, who you can't run on, a guy that has an out pitch that you don't want to see, so you should swing early in the count, that kind of stuff.
Tap it to the right side of the mound, and Detweiler will get Heisey at first, although, boy, you can really see Heisey hustling down the line. 2 out for Votto. Ford Dealer's defensive look at the Washington Nationals. Bryce Harper, Denard Span, Jason Worth across the outfield. Ryan Zimmerman, Ian Desmond on the left side. Danny Espinoza, Chad Tracy getting the start at first. On the right side, Ross Detweiler throws to Wilson Ramos. This is their 5th game of the year, and Ramos is making his 3rd start behind the plate. There's last year's National League Rookie of the Year, Bryce Harper, out in left field. Talked last night about the fact that he played a good deal of center field last year, but the Nationals acquired Denard Span in the offseason, trade Michael Morris, and the former catcher in his amateur days. Harper is now an outfielder, a transition that he's made pretty darn well. Votto with 2 men out, nobody on. So he comes into the game at 4 for 14 with a run batted in. That was the game-winning RBI on Wednesday night. Last night, a 3 for 4 game. Nationals went down in order, and Detweiler trying to do the same to the Reds in the bottom of the first. This is the 2nd game to start in the National League today. They're also playing at Citi Field in New York. During the first inning there, Miami, which won its first game of the season last night after being swept by these Nationals. leading early in that one, 1-0. That one knocks Votto down, and he goes right onto the stomach in the batter's box.
I think it got him. They're going to give him first base.
Tim McClellan says yes, that ball did clip. It appeared the uniform of Joey Votto. He takes first base. Nothing out of the Nationals dugout. Let's take a look.
I don't think this was intentional, and I also don't think it actually hit Joey Votto, although he think it might have. It came so close. I think that's just a product of throwing across your body and not getting your arm catching up with your legs. Good slow motion right there, brought to you by our Performance Honda Exmo, and it did not get Votto, but he'll get first base, and fortunately everybody's A-okay. I'd hate to see that right there, that one pitch spark some kind of an incident between these two ball clubs.
Here's Phillips with Votto, and a pretty good lead over there at first, being held by Tracy. Brandon fouls it back. To Phillips. Read some tweets last night after the game, and interested in your thought on, as you mentioned, you'd hate to see that hit batsman spark something. The Reds scored that run in the 8th inning last night, a double by Bruce, single to right by Frazier. They waved the runner in. It made it 15-0 at the time. Do you think the Nationals may have thought that that run could have been held up to right field? Worth is there, and the inning is over.
I'll get back to you on that.
Okay. No score through 1. Serious injuries, call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. Let's talk starting pitching, Chris. How about that?
Well, the Reds starting pitching in the first 4 games. I mean, how much better can you expect it to be? They're 2-0, 2.4 earned run average collectively. You go through Cueto, Latos, Arroyo. You know, last night you have Homer Bailey throwing the ball 95, really wherever he wanted to. And, you know, there's really no weakness in the starting 5. Now, I know a lot of people are saying, hey, what about Mike Lee? I mean, 5th starter. You know, he had a bad year last year. Why are they hanging around with him? I think what people don't understand, that the 5th starting spot in baseball is the hardest job to keep in all of sports.
Sure.
Because every year when you evaluate your ball club, you try to, you know, get better from the bottom up. And that 5th starting spot seemingly always open for grabs, but it really isn't here. until somebody can unseat him.
You talked about Ross Detweiler, the number 5 starter for the Nationals, being career-wise under 500 at 16-22. Here you have Leake into his 4th year. He's over 500 by 6 games at 28-22.
I think a lot of teams would like to have Mike Leake in their rotation, but he knows he's got to go out there and pitch and perform.
He gets Ryan Zimmerman to start the 2nd, and he gets a ground ball to Phillips, ranging to his right. Brandon will make the play, and Zimmerman is gone for out number 1.
What I really like about Mike Leake is that when he's on his game, he pitches very fast. I mean, between pitches, keeps the pace going. He changes speeds well, and he throws a lot of strikes. And I think as long as you do that, that's a formula that's going to breed success. He's got a very good infield behind him, good outfield defense. He might as well let those guys earn their money.
Chad Tracy batting for the first time this year. Let's go back to what we were talking about in the bottom of the 1st inning. Did the Reds send a runner maybe when they didn't need to?
Yeah, I remember that play, and I thought fleetingly the same thing when I saw Jay Bruce being waved around 3rd. And my answer to that is no. I mean, I don't think there is such a thing as running up the score in baseball.
That's going to be a hit for Tracy into center field. He broke his bat in the process. The business end of that thing ends up way down near first base. First base runner for the Nationals, a 1-out single.
Now there might be at the amateur level when you're running guys extra bases on pass balls and wild pitches and so on, but I think when it comes to baseball, I mean, after all, Dusty Baker essentially emptied the bench.
Sure.
And put in every second string player that he had. Xavier Paul comes off the bench and hits a grand slam. You can't tell these players individually, I don't want you to try your best. And I can't remember who hit that single that drove in Jay Bruce, but I mean, are you going to rob him of a potential run batted in at the end of the year?
It was Frazier who hit the ball into right.
So you think about it, if you're Todd Frazier's agent and you say, well, you know, we're going to base our negotiations on what he did as far as numbers this year, and how many times might that happen where he knocks a run in and a guy gets held up at 3rd because the score was already blown up.
I can completely understand it from a Red standpoint. I guess what we're trying to get to also is, if you're on the other side, if you're on the National side, do you think that they thought, you know, they could have held that guy at 3rd?
Well, I can tell you that maybe they're looking for motivation, and getting beat 15-0 ought to provide enough motivation.
Fair enough. Ian Desmond is the man at the plate. He's 2 out of 14 this year. He had a hit last night, 1 for 4. He's the Nationals shortstop.
Good fastball hitter. They tried to throw him some breaking balls last night. Always ready for that number 1 is Desmond.
He's got that slightly open stance. Now he's at a ball and a strike. Make that 2 balls and a strike. Big crowd on hand here at Great American Ballpark. As we talked about earlier, this is a doubleheader day baseball wise here at the stadium. After this game, a collegiate contest between the University of Cincinnati and the University of Louisville. Great League's move to first, Chris.
You know, Jim, we talked about Ross Detweiler, the National starter, being very simple. He's got 3 pitches, fastball, curveball, change. But Mike Leake, by contrast, is a little bit more complicated. He throws 5 different pitches, and he moves them all around. He throws his fastball at 46% of the time. Then he's got his cutter at 24% of the time. So you add those up. Those are both kind of fastballs. He throws a slider, a curveball, and a changeup. And I think sometimes when Leake runs into problems, those pitches kind of blend all together. There's not a lot of speed difference between his fastest and his slowest.
Into right field, sending Bruce to the track, and Bruce will have room to haul it in, and Desmond is retired. Tracy retreats to first base.
Now, with the way the ball was flying out of here last night, anytime the ball goes in the air like that and you're on the mound, you're holding your breath. You see Jay Bruce off and running to the right field gap. You're thinking, oh, please come back.
Well, 6 of them last night for the Reds. It gives them 10 on the year. They're tied with Colorado for the lead in Major League Baseball through the first 4 games of the year for the most home runs. But the most interesting number of that is they hit 6 last night, meaning they They hit more in one game than 25 teams have hit so far this year in the big leagues. That's the amazing number of that.
You were up late studying.
That is a Josh Hall stat right there.
Well, I know he stays up late studying.
We know that. Runner aboard with 2 out. No score. We're in the top of the second. Reds trying to make it 4 in a row in the win side of things after the opening day loss. Into right center field off the bat of Espinosa. This could give the Nationals the lead. Here comes the throw in. They will hold the runner to the Nationals at third. Trent Jewett put the stop sign on Chad Tracy as he chugged into third base. That's a double for the switch hitting Espinosa. And they knock on the door, second and third with 2 out.
You know, one thing you notice when you really boil down the numbers about Mike Leake is that a lot of times he gets hurt early in the count. His first pitch or his second pitch or even his third pitch. Those are the ones that are the toughest for him to get by. And this one pretty much a get ahead fastball to Espinosa, who lines it over the head of Chu in right center field and gets an easy double.
Third hit of the year for Espinosa. 2 of them have been doubles. And now with 2 out and the catcher up, they will elect, will the Reds, to put him on intentionally and face the right-handed hitting, left-handed throwing Detweiler.
That's a good call right here. I mean, I think it's a no-brainer. You certainly don't want to take a shot right here and let Wilson Ramos come up and ruin your day by punching in a base hit when you've got the pitcher in the on-deck circle.
Well, the Nationals will have the bases loaded with 2 men out and their pitcher up here in the top of the second. These 2 teams come in with identical records into this game, each at 3 wins and 1 loss. Reds actually are atop the National League Central with that mark. The Nationals and the Braves are 3-1 in the National League East. No undefeated teams left after the Nationals lost last night. No teams without a victory after the Marlins won in their game last night. So here's Detweiler. Last year he had 2 hits in 45 at bats. He's a career .056 hitter. So yeah, pretty good mood to put on.
2 hits with 3 runs batted in. He's making the most of them.
Leake works from the stretch. And it's 0-2. Personal preference, I guess, whether to work from the stretch or the windup with the bases loaded.
Yeah, it's where you feel the most comfortable right now. And he's been working out of the stretch since the second batter of the inning.
And he's a strike away from hanging a 0 here in the top of number 2. And he does it. Strikeout of Detweiler. First of the game for Leake. And the Nationals leave the bases loaded. We're in the middle of the second. With you this season. MLB.TV is celebrating 11 years, so make sure you catch every Reds Out of Market game live, online, or on your favorite mobile devices in HD quality, which MLB.TV Premium. Visit Reds.com to order. Get all the details. MLB.TV, baseball everywhere. Scoreless through an inning and a half. Marlins had checked that the Nationals had 2 hits plus an intentional walk in the top of the second. They leave those 3 on as Detweiler struck out, and now Detweiler back to work. He hit Votto in the bottom of the first. He was stranded, and now it'll be lefty Bruce, righty Frazier, righty Kozar.
Well, what a nice crowd here this afternoon. Had a big crowd last night for Fireworks Friday. Big crowd, as you said, Jim. A lot of these folks out here today finally able to come out just wearing their T-shirts, the Reds jerseys. Finally get your jacket off.
Yeah, you're going to have a good weather day today. You're going to have another pretty good one tomorrow. Team goes out of town. There's going to be a little bit of rain next week, but the Reds won't be back for a week. And that second homestand, Reds will have in the Philadelphia Phillies for 3, the Marlins for 4, and the Cubs for 3. Bruce scorches this ball into right. That's a base hit. He had a couple of doubles last night. That's his first hit that's not been a double. Maybe this is a good sign for Jay Bruce.
Well, it's also his first hit to right field. I mean, he just jumps on the first fastball that he sees from Ross Detweiler, and another base hit for Bruce off of a left-handed pitcher. That might be a good sign. Think about that particular swing. He got his foot down in plenty of time, Jay Bruce did, and he still stayed back. And we've seen Jay Bruce go from hot to cold seemingly like a flip of a switch.
He's on to start the bottom of the second.
Another look at that swing from Jay Bruce. Notice how quickly he gets his foot down right here and still keeps his body back. It's kind of a no-step stride for Jay Bruce right there. Keeps his head still, and nice line drive to right field.
Here's Todd Frazier. What a big night he had last night. 4 out of 5 with 4 runs batted in, including a multi-home run game, the second of his career. The 4 hits, a new career high for the third baseman. 4 RBIs equaled a career high for him. So he comes into this game now at 8 for 17. 3 home runs and 6 runs batted in. The 3 home runs and 6 RBIs have him tied for the National League lead.
You know, I'm wondering if Todd Frazier really needed a start like this, because a lot of talk about if there was one question mark about this ball club from an everyday player standpoint, it would be third base. You know, is Todd Frazier going to be able to fill the hole left by Scott Rowland? Can he finally play every day and show everybody that he can play defense and hit? Well, you get off to the kind of start that he has, and there's no question at all that people aren't even talking about it.
So it takes the pressure off, doesn't it? Detweiler delivered the pitch, but time had been called by the home plate umpire, Tim McClellan. Hey, do you remember seeing the story late in spring training where Tim McClellan called a couple of batters worth of plays, a couple of batters worth of pitches as the home plate umpire behind the pitcher? Do you remember?
I did not see that, no.
There had been an injury to the home plate umpire, and instead of delaying the game while another umpire went off to get his gear, they simply went with 2 umpires. He went out behind the mound and called balls and strikes for a couple of batters till that half inning ended, and then the other umpire came out with his gear and they resumed a regular game.
How do you do?
Apparently all right.
All right.
A little odd looking.
Just like the good old days. I mean, the old days, when the umpires wouldn't show up to an amateur game, so you pull somebody's uncle out of the stands and you stick him behind the pitcher and say, Uncle Joe, we'll let you be the umpire today. This was a no-doubter by Frazier off of Danny Hare last night, a second deck job. He also hit one to right center field, and boy, as long as Todd Frazier continues to use the entire field, he'll be okay.
Jumps out of the way of that one, up and in. evens the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Detweiler never had a whole lot of success on the road. Last year's ERA almost 2 runs higher away from Nationals Park than it was at home. Lifetime 3 wins, 15 losses on road games.
You wonder right here whether Dusty Baker will send Jay Bruce. Nobody out, full count. Thinking that maybe Todd Frazier will be able to put this ball in play, and Bruce, if he's able to get a base hit, will move to third.
There he goes, and Frazier gets it in the air toward left center field. Room for Harper. And that's the first out of the inning. Bruce retreats. Harper makes the catch. The batter is Zach Cozart. Cozart got into the fun last night as well with a long ball.
Well, you're not kidding. I mean, maybe not as long as the home runs that were hit by Todd Frazier, but certainly equally as important to that Reds effort last night. That one bouncing off the top of the yellow line, and another one for Todd Frazier. Shortstops and third basemen wild last night.
Cozart made the comment after the game. May not have traveled as far as Frazier's. I'm not quite as strong as Frazier, but they did get over the wall.
Well, I got news for them. At the end of the year, they don't ask you how far, they ask you how many.
Yeah. Cozart's the one who hit the ball early that Davey Johnson came out, talked to the home plate umpire about it, but did not apparently ask for that ball to be reviewed. Again, a chance for Harper, who makes the catch. Cozart retired, 2 out. Here's Devin Mesoraco. One of the things that Dusty Baker was able to do last night with the score the way it was get a lot of the regulars out of the lineup. Haizu had started 3 in a row, took an early seat, as did Votto, as did Phillips, as did Hannigan. Mesoraco made his 13th debut with a single in the center in the 7th inning last night, so he's 1 for 2. Mesoraco last year hit .212 with 5 home runs and 14 runs batted in. Remember, though, after he was placed on the suspended list due to the umpire bumping incident, he didn't come back to the Reds team. Instead went to AAA Louisville, stayed down there until his September call-up, and then he was a lost man really up here. He did not get near any playing time late in the season.
And he lost a lot of confidence. His skills behind the plate began to deteriorate a little bit because he just was in kind of an overall funk. However, in spring training, you'd never even know it was the same guy. He came into spring training ready to play, high level of confidence, knowing that he had to have a good spring to make the ball club, and he did just that.
Rolls it toward the hole. Desmond with a backhand pick and throw, and they get the Reds catcher at first. The leadoff single by Bruce goes for naught. We're through 2, scoreless.
Game with Reds Live on Fox Sports Ohio. Reds Live has everything you need to know for that day's game, and it's only on your exclusive home for Cincinnati Reds baseball. Reds Live is presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. Jim Day with you, and barring a playoff appearance here at Great American Ballpark, this is the last time we'll see Washington manager Davey Johnson here at GABP. He's announced that this will be his last year as a big league skipper, and before the game he was honored by the Reds. Walt Jocketty doing the honors of presenting some gifts to Davey Johnson, and Reds fans, well, they have a soft spot for Davey Johnson in their heart. Prior to Dusty Baker leading the Reds to the division title in 2010. The last time the Reds had won a division, 1995. Davey Johnson as the manager. He took that team all the way to the NLCS. As we go back upstairs to the Champion Windows broadcast booth, guys, there's not a better thinking man's manager than Davey Johnson. He was doing the money ball before Billy Beane made it famous.
Yeah, that was the first year, 95, of the wild card. 94 was supposed to be, but remember, there were no playoffs that year, and the Reds defeated the Dodgers 3 in a row, then went on to play the Braves. Unfortunately, were swept in that series. Davey Johnson fondly remembered here in the Queen City area.
Well, no doubt about it. He took the Reds to consecutive first place finishes in their division back in 94 and 95. In fact, I asked him today, you know, he got the call from Jim Bowden 44 games into the season. Tony Perez was the manager. He was fired after a West Coast road trip, and they called Davey Johnson. Davey Johnson was at a fish camp in Ocala, Florida.
A fish camp
that he has set up.
Frazier makes the play and throws the speedy Span out at first.
And he told Jim Bowden he'd be happy to take the team over, but he said, because you've got a nice lineup, but you've got a AAA bench, you've got a AAA bullpen, don't expect very much. And there wasn't a whole lot to be happy about that year. The Reds ended up in 5th place in 1993. It was not until 94 when Davey Johnson turned them into a ball club that was in contention.
Yeah, as you mentioned, they had the best record in the division in 94, but there was no postseason. The season ended in early August with the lockout / strike.
Yeah.
No World Series that year, and then they did go on, of course, to win that division again in 1995. 16th year as a big league manager for Davey Johnson, and I guess the most famous year for him would have been that 1986 team when he was the skipper of that New York Mets club that came back and defeated the Boston Red Sox in 7 games. Into right by Worth. This will get down, get by Bruce, go all the way to the fence. Worth has himself a 1-out double. He's in scoring position here in inning number 3.
You know, you watch Jason Worth bat, and he's so wristy with his swing that you would never ever believe that the guy's had surgery on his wrist. He broke a radial bone last year, was out for 75 games, and he just flips that ball off at the end of the bat and rifles it down the right field line.
Former All-Star is now out at second base. Here's Bryce Harper. Hit the hardest ball of this game thus far. Fortunately for the Reds, right back into the leather of the pitcher Mike Leake. That ended the top of the first inning. Harper muscles up one to right, and the Nationals have taken the lead on the 3rd home run of the year for Bryce Harper. Worth will score in front of him, and the Nationals lead 2-0. I was just about to say that Harper had been 0 for 5 in this series.
Well, as I said earlier, it's early in the count that it seems like Mike Leake gets hurt the most. Of the 26 home runs that he gave up last year, 12 of those home runs came either on the first or second pitch of the at-bat. And it happens again today. Jason Worth goes after him early in the count. Bryce Harper jumps on the first pitch he sees. And that gives you some food for thought if you're Mike Leake, is that maybe change things up early in the count and begin to pitch backwards instead of trying to rush that fastball by him for a first pitch strike.
5th home run by the Nationals this year, and Harper has 3 of them. The base is empty with 1 out for Zimmerman. Reds will need to come from behind to get the win in this game. Zimmerman grounded out his first time. And now Leake falls behind 3-1. Bryce Harper, of course, we talked about him being at 19 years old last year, 19/20. The rookie of the year in the National League, becoming the third member of the franchise back when they were the Montreal Expos, the first as a national, but the third in franchise history to win the Rookie of the Year award. You got to go all the way back to Andre Dawson, 1977, to find the last organizational player to be Rookie of the Year.
You know, Bryce Harper sometimes comes across as a little bit brash and cocky, you know, media reports, interviews, and so on, because he's had such the spotlight on him from so long. But I can tell you that this young man simply loves to play the game. I mean, he runs everything out. He's out here early working out. He came prepared to play in spring training right from the get-go. Hit over 460 during the spring. I think Reds fans have been treated to a nice opening part of the season when you see Mike Trout for 3 games with the Angels, and then you see Bryce Harper, 2 of the best young players in the game, coming right through Cincinnati to start the season off.
With 2 very good teams, the Angels and the Nationals. Look at Harper. Remember in his junior college days, he had that eye black, and it was dripping all the way down his face. Line drive caught by Chu in center field. That kind of led to the persona that he put forth also, didn't it? 2 out for Desmond. Desmond, his first time, fly deep to right. Now 2 out of 15 during this young season. Desmond has become a much better shortstop in terms of errors over the course of his everyday years with this organization. Last year committed only 15. Desmond was an all-star and a Silver Slugger winner 1 year ago. He had by far his best year. He hit 25 home runs. Right near the 300 mark at 292. Now Leake has him at a ball and 2 strikes.
Well, where Ian Desmond has really come along is on his defense. 2 years ago, he went out and committed 34 errors 3 years ago, 34 errors. In 2011, 23 errors, and then last year he knocked that number down to 15.
So in 2 years he more than cut it in half. Cozart will charge, step on the bag, force out at second on Zimmerman, and the top of the 3rd comes to a close. But Bryce Harper, 2-run blast to right, has put the Nationals in front. Time moment of the game. We look forward to passing that along later. And remember, if a Reds player hits a home run in this game this afternoon, hits the Toyota sign during this contest, Steven Dawson from Cincinnati will win this beautiful new Tundra here on display at Great American Ballpark. Register for your chance to win at an upcoming game by visiting your Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Toyota dealers. Reds fan hits the Toyota sign. Steven Dawson could be a big winner here today. Mike Leake will lead things off here in the bottom of the third. Looks to repeat what he did a year ago in terms of batting. He led the major league pitchers in hitting last year with 18 hits and a .305 batting average.
A note on a scoreboard here at Great American Ballpark: 45 hits from Mike Leake since 2010. That leads all other major league pitchers.
Esty used him, what, a couple, 3 times last year as a pinch hitter. Leake tries to get it going here in the bottom of the third. 2-0 Nationals on the strength of the 2-run homer by Bryce Harper. That is hit number 46 as Leake solidly hits it into center field, and the leadoff man is on.
Well, Mike Leake is just simply a ball player. I think he could probably play infield, outfield, and give you a pretty good effort no matter where you put him. But that's a good solid swing right there. Picks on a curveball and lines it into left center field for a base hit.
You think when they go over the Reds hitters, when Leake is pitching, they remind the pitcher, don't approach him as a pitcher, approach him as a hitter.
Oh yeah, there are always a couple of guys on each team that they go about that way in the scouting report. In fact, nowadays they may even get more in depth than that. They may say, hey, listen, this guy can hit a fastball up, make sure you keep it down, or throw him a breaking ball, something like that. Normally they used to say, hey, this pitcher can hit, just stay awake.
Chu bounced out to the second baseman to get the Reds' first inning started. He hits one the other way here, placed it perfectly in the hole, and the Reds have the tying runners on here in the bottom of number 3.
Well, how good is that stroke for Shin-Soo Choo? I mean, it's almost like he sees the shortstop snugging up to the bag at second base and double play depth. It opens up a hole on the left side of the infield, and he's just going to like play it right in there.
So Chu in this game is at his average in terms of getting on base. He came in at .500 on base percentage, reaching in 10 of his 20 plate appearances, and he's been on once in 2 here this afternoon. He represents the tying run.
Heisey here figures to get something to hit. You've got Joey Votto on deck.
Heisey tapped one to the right of the mound his first time and was retired. Heisey 265 overall last year, 262 against right-handers, and he'll beat this ball into the ground. It's going to be a 6 for force out at second. Heisey hustling all the way, legs it out at first. First and third with 1 out. But he rolled over on that pitch. Only the hustle of Heisey enabled him to beat that one out.
Well, Ross Detweiler gets a lot of ground balls. Over 60% of his outs come by way of ground ball. And he got the rollover right there. The Nationals just not able to turn it quickly enough to get a very speedy Chris Heisey going down the line.
Here now is Joey Votto. 3 hits last night. Tremendous average a year ago, and hitting with runners in scoring position. .370. Skimmed by a ball up and in his first time up. RBI chance for him here. He has 1 run batted in this season. Bounces ball to the second baseman. They get 1. They get 2 as as the first baseman Tracy came off the bag, apparently got his foot back on the bag in time, says Jerry Meals. Disagreeing down there is Billy Hatcher, but Votto rolls into the 4-6-3 inning-ending double play here in the bottom of the third. Let's take a look at it one more time. Jackpot worth $50 million. The drawing is at 11 p.m. Eastern time. $50 million tonight at 11. Ohio Lottery Powerball Jackpot. Time to go out and get your tickets after the game. All right, that last replay now that we saw going out of the break appeared to show that Tracy got his foot back on the bag. Here's another look. Different angle, much better angle. And you could see that Tracy's foot was not on the bag. So Billy Hatcher was correct down at first base.
Hatch usually doesn't argue unless he's got a reason.
Nationals got the benefit of the doubt on that double play ball. Now a deep fly to right that's going to be handled by Bruce, and on one pitch Danny Espinosa is retired, so one out here in the top of the fourth. Wilson Ramos potentially walked to get the Detweiler back in the second, a strategy that worked out for the Reds. Ramos, a guy who played in only 25 games last year. His season came to an end, ironically, here in Cincinnati on the 12th of May in a right medial meniscus tear, required surgery. Played in only 25 games last year. Jesus Flores caught more than anybody for this team last year. They also went out. Saw him last night. Kurt Suzuki. Flores did the bulk of the catching for this team a year ago. No longer with them now.
Well, they really missed Ramos last year, though. He's a guy that guns down about 29% of attempted base stealers. He's got a good arm, handles the catching chore very well behind the plate.
In the hole, nicely cut off by Frazier. Comes up throwing the first in time.
Well, Todd Frazier must be a big fan of Reds Live, because that play that he made right there, what I call the 5.5 hole between third base and shortstop, is a play that he covered in today's CBTS Tech Talk about how to range to your left, how to set your feet, how to get your arm up to throw a strike to first base. He did all those textbook, just like he described it in our pregame show.
Well, he really squares up much better now than he used to prior to last year.
I think that's watching and playing next to Scott Rowland for a while.
No doubt about it. Here's Detweiler, who struck out his first time. Leake trying to have a 1-2-3 inning for the first time since inning 1. Espinosa fly to right. Ramos grounded to third. Leake trying to keep it a 2-0 game here in the fourth. Talk a little bit about Detweiler when he goes back to the mound in the bottom of the fourth inning, and his unique approach, Chris, on the rubber and the way he turns, even when he's quote in the windup, a little bit different than you see from anybody else.
Yeah, we'll look at that. Take a look at that.
Vada will take it himself. Leake has a 1-2-3, top of the fourth. 3.5 complete here at Great American Ballpark. Nationals up by 2. The Reds and the Nationals here tomorrow. The game starts at 1:10. First 20,000 fans receive a 2013 Reds magnetic schedule and car magnet thanks to PNC Bank. For tickets, call 513-381-RED. You can also visit select Kroger locations or reds.com/tickets. Those magnetic schedules right onto the refrigerator. I know you've got one on yours.
You better believe it.
Ross Detweiler so far through 3. He's given the Reds 3 hits. They've stranded 3 runners. He's walked no one. He struck out no one.
You were talking earlier, Jim, about Ross Detweiler and his foot action on the and around the pitching rubber. It's a little unusual. We've got a shot of it right now. If you just watch his foot around the rubber, most pitchers will plant their foot in front of the rubber. Detweiler really, he's got a lot of his foot right on the pitching rubber right there.
There we saw him working from the stretch, but when he works from the windup, he kind of turns and stands right on top of that rubber. That would seem to lead to a lot of slippage.
Well, you would think so, but
apparently not for him.
So far, so good. Giving up 3 hits, no runs. One thing he does do, he works from the very far third base side of that rubber. A lot of left-handers like to do that.
There you get a good look at that, right on top of the rubber as he pushes toward home plate.
Well, you know, if you look at his full windup, it really resembles his stretch anyway. There's his full windup, and then he kind of brings his right leg around, steps forward rather than backwards. And then now he's in a stretch, and now he comes to the plate. So they're very similar, his full windup and stretch.
It's almost really like he doesn't work from a windup.
That's part of his delivery right there. Here he is on top of the rubber with his left foot. and he really doesn't push off towards home plate. If you can see the way his toe drags, and there's a line right around the rubber that shows that. His foot kind of drags over towards the first base line.
Working on Brandon Phillips to start the bottom of the fourth. Desmond will charge, make the pick, and throw it into the stands. That'll be an error on the shortstop, Ian Desmond. We were just talking about how much better he had become in terms of cutting down on his errors, but he unloads on that one.
Well, I asked the Nationals folks that came and traveled with this ball club, where were most of his errors over the years? Were they errors of fielding? Were they errors of throwing? And they say his throwing normally is very good, but that wasn't even close.
So for the third consecutive inning, the Reds get the leadoff man on. Leadoff base hit by Bruce in the second, stranded. Leadoff base hit in the third by Leake, ultimately stranded at third. Leadoff error here in the fourth, allowing Phillips to reach and then go to second when the ball went into the stands. So an RBI opportunity for Jay Bruce.
Not only an RBI opportunity, but an opportunity to move the runner around to third base and give Todd Frazier an easy chance for a run batted in. And thinking that, you got to figure that Detweiler and Wilson Ramos are going to try to pitch Jay Bruce away to make him hit the ball the other way, maybe not advance Brandon Phillips.
Again, Jay going the other way, listed into shallow left. No opportunity here for Phillips to advance as Harper makes the play.
Boy, a wasted at bat right there.
Right now on FoxSportsOhio.com, Hal McCoy spoke with Mike Leake about his start today, and you can speak with Hal McCoy using the Game Connect feature as he chats with fans during every home game. Plus, Kevin Goheen spoke with the Todd father about taking over full-time at third base. Get complete coverage of all today's action involving Ohio sports, brought to you by 1-800-SAFE-AUTO. Drive safe, spend less. The Todd father. Speaking of, here's Frazier with a runner on second and one out. Just missed one his first time. Frazier fly deep to left. 3 home runs, 6 RBIs so far this year. This one will get out of play. Frazier talked a lot in that first series about the connection between he and Mike Trout, both being from New Jersey. Although Todd is, what, 5 or so years older than Trout. There aren't that many big leaguers from the Garden State, so they have a mutual admiration society right there. Hammered to left by Frazier. Over the head of Harper. That'll get a run home. Frazier into second. He drives in his 7th run of the year. Well, he jumped all over that Detweiler mistake right there.
I don't need no stinking guy at third. I can drive him in from second. Boy, you're right. That ball sounded like a firecracker coming off the bat. It was a changeup that Detweiler just got up in the zone. Not even up in the zone, but right in the wheelhouse anyway. Low and into Todd Frazier. Drops the head, and there it goes.
The Reds cut the deficit in half. It's now 2-1. Todd out at second represents the tying run for Zach Cozart. Frazier gets his second double to go along with 3 home runs, so 5 of his 9 hits have been for extra bases.
Cozart fly to left his first trip. Mentioned Frazier came in tied for the league lead in runs batted in, along with Troy Tulowitzki of the Rockies, Freddie Freeman of Atlanta, Chase Utley of the Phillies. In the air and playable. Span, the center fielder, calls off Harper, makes the catch. 2 out. The chance falls on the shoulders now of the catcher Devin Mesoraco. Mesoraco grounded out to the shortstop his first time. Tries to get it done here against the lefty Ross Detweiler. One of the things we have not mentioned about Detweiler, that he was a part of Team USA, played in the World Baseball Classic under Joe Torre. Made an appearance against the Italian team.
4 innings of shutout baseball.
Said it was one of the great experiences of his baseball career.
You know, I think that can be echoed by his manager, Davey Johnson, who had the WBC USA team in 2009.
Yeah.
Like Davey's also managed a USA Olympic team and enjoyed the experience immensely.
Ironic that he's managing here in Cincinnati this weekend. The man he replaced, Jim Riggleman, runs the Reds AAA team down in Louisville now.
Well, it was a busy offseason for Ross Detweiler. He got married in the offseason, and then he was honeymooning in Hawaii. He cut that honeymoon short in order to go on a 7-day 4-country USO tour with General Martin Dempsey, the chairman, Joint Chiefs of Staff. They traveled around to visit servicemen around the world. There's a lot of that participation by the Washington Nationals, just given the fact that they are in D.C. They honor the armed services nearly every night at their ballpark in D.C. There's a lot of charity work being done by their players with armed services all around the country.
What's nice to see here that the Reds do a lot of that same thing, honoring military personnel each evening. There's a lot of that marriage thing going on. Detweiler gets married in the offseason. The man who got the double, Frazier, married in the offseason. Man on deck, Leake, married in the offseason. There's an intentional pass to Mesoraco after getting behind Detweiler, and now Leake will come up there. Columbus Crew are back on Fox Sports Ohio this afternoon, following Reds baseball when they take on the Philadelphia Union. Join Dwight Burgess and Duncan Houghton for the call, 5 p.m. today, right here on Fox Sports Ohio. Now Leake finds himself in the hole, 2 strikes.
Now Leake, I think, picked on a curveball his last time up. This time it's been nothing but old country fastball from Detweiler.
Detweiler does not have a strikeout in the game. That intentional pass given to Mesoraco, his first walk of the afternoon. Nationals get 2 in the third on a 2-run homer to right by Bryce Harper. Reds so far have gotten 1 back here in the bottom of the 4th on a run-producing double by Frazier that scored Phillips, who had reached on a throwing error by Ian Desmond, the National shortstop. So it's an unearned run, and any other run in this inning scored by the Reds would go down as unearned. And Leake strikes out to end the bottom of the fourth. But the Reds cut the deficit in half thanks to Todd Frazier's 7th RBI of the year.
If we don't have that, there's going to be some trouble. Second thing, you're always going to try to get to that ball that's in the hole. Third baseman, if you can cut it off and make that throw, that's the best part about being a third baseman. You have an easier throw. Shortstops are coming this way. They might have to come up and throw. Unless you can get it, take a couple steps and go.
All right, so Todd Frazier explains how it's done. There he is, ranging to his left, right in front of Zach Cozart. He fields the ball, sets himself up, fires a strike to first base, just like we talked about in practice down at Goodyear, Arizona, where we taped that particular CBTS Tech Talk, and nice to see it. Practice pays off.
Good work right there.
Well, you know, there is something to it. I mean, you know, you come to a ball game and you watch these big leaguers make plays like that, and you think, oh, well, you know, they're just a bunch of talented athletes. But the fact is that they practice that. And the only way that you can repeat it and be consistently good at it is practice. And those Tech Talks will certainly show you how to practice the right way.
All right, Leake now in the fifth. He set down 5 in a row. Bernard Span representing the top of the Nationals order leads things off. He has a hit in each of the 4 Nationals games thus far. Kept that alive last night with a 5th inning single. This game he's flied out and grounded out. Frazier in on the grass at third. Span goes the other way, but Heisey is there, and Span is disposed of for the 3rd straight time. So 1 out. The batter will be Jason Worth. We talked about it yesterday. We mentioned it earlier, and it bears repeating now that tomorrow, the 1:10 game, what a big pitching matchup it is. Johnny Cueto making start number 2 against the right-hander Steven Strasburg making start number 2. This will be Sunday, April the 7th. You have that pitching matchup in, say, mid-October. That would be something.
Well, I don't really care what time of year it is. That's the kind of pitching matchup that would compel me to get out here and watch it at the ballpark live.
You bet.
Jason Worth gets his 2nd hit in 3 at-bats. And he picked a fastball and took it right back up the middle. 2 of the hits now. 1 has gone to right field, 1 up the middle for Worth.
It snaps a streak of 6 in a row retired by Leake. Hit number 5 for the Nationals. They about hit the Reds 5-4.
All right, now remember, Bryce Harper, home run on the first pitch he saw. Hit a line drive right back at Leake on the 3rd pitch he saw. or the fourth pitch the first time up. Leak tried to get a little fastball. I don't know whether it's a fastball or a cutter. It just held right over the center of the plate. And a no-doubter off the bat of Bryce Harper. What they did last year to get Harper into a slump, I mean, when they say they, I mean National League pitchers. They simply expanded the zone. He was so anxious, he's so aggressive that he began to chase pitches that he couldn't normally handle. But once he starts shrinking the strike zone and getting good pitches to hit, very dangerous third place hitter.
He's ahead here now, 2 balls and a strike.
All right, he's seen 2 fastballs and he's seen a curveball. Curveball in the dirt.
Gets under this ball, hits it into center, way up there for Chu. And he makes the catch.
Big sigh of relief right there to retire Harper. Well, here we go. First pitch fastball this time, but it's going to be a pitch outside as our Mazda pitch by pitch between Leak and Bryce Harper. Swings and fouls one back right there. Count of 1-1. And now he bounces the breaking ball. Big pitch right here. He just comes right after him with the fastest fastball of the day by Mike Leake, 92 miles an hour. Harper just a hair late, pops it up. And 2 down in the inning.
So now it's Ryan Zimmerman in the cleanup spot. He's grounded out and drew a walk in this game. Hitless last night, 0 for 3 with a walk. Nationals in front, 2-1. Leak is intent on keeping Jason Worth close over at first. This is a team that did a lot of base running in terms of steals last year. So far, 0 for 2 this year. Worth doesn't figure to be a guy who's going to steal. Held over there by Votto. Zimmerman steps out, and now Mesoraco and Leak will get together on the mound. Leak, a guy trying to get the ground balls. Zimmerman, a guy who hits a lot of ground balls. In fact, he hit into more ground ball double plays last year than anyone in the National League. What a nice off-speed pitch there.
Yeah, pretty good idea right there. I'm not sure whose it was, Leak or Mesoraco, decided to drop that curveball in on a 1-2 count, but Zimmerman looking dead red all the way. Look at that swing.
Worth off and running as Zimmerman swings and misses and strikes out. Disgusted, flips that bat away. Strikeout number 2 for Mike Leake. giveaway of the season. That's coming up on Saturday, April the 20th, 2 weeks from today. The first 30,000 fans will receive a Brandon Phillips bobblehead, thanks to PNC Bank. Make sure you can cheer on the Reds when they take on the Marlins at Great American Ballpark. For tickets, call 513-381-REDS. You can visit select Kroger locations as well, or go to reds.com/tickets. That's Saturday, April the 20th. Brandon Phillips bobblehead. Now the order for the Reds here in the home fifth. That means Chu, Heisey, and Votto against the offerings of this left-hander Ross Detweiler. He's walked one. That was an intentional pass. He has struck out one. Chu had a hit the other way his last time. He's had a ball and a strike here. Chu now has a hit in 4 of the 5 Reds games. Nationals get 2 in the 3rd. Reds 1 in the 4th, an unearned run. Reds won here last night big, 15-0. $15-0 marked the largest shutout win for the Reds since a 17-0 win against Milwaukee some 15 years ago, August of 1998. Chu thinks he was hit by the pitch, and so does Tim McClellan. He points down to the first base bag, and so that's the second hit by pitch in this game that has been very close. And the Reds get the benefit of the doubt.
Now, we determined through slow-mo last time that Joey Votto actually was hit by the pitch. And Chu saying, hey, it got my sleeve. We'll take a look right here whether it did or not. Yes, it did. Expo replay courtesy of Munchin's Furniture.
The 4th time already now in 5 games that Chu has been hit by a pitch.
Well, 2 things contribute to that. Number 1, he's up on the plate pretty good. Number 2, he doesn't back off. He's not one of these guys that is going to be bailing out right away just because the guys come inside once or twice.
His hit by pitch back on Wednesday led to the game-winning run. He was hit by the pitch of Scott Downs. Later came in to score on that Votto ball that trickled off the glove of the first baseman.
Possible hit-and-run opportunity right here.
Hard in the left by Heisey. Chu advances, and so here are the Reds now. 2 on with nobody out. So Chu 4 times been hit by a pitch. Nobody else more than once so far this year. Taking a look back, Chu last year was hit 14 times. Big opportunity now for Joey Votto. Opportunity presented itself for Votto back in the 3rd. 2 on with 1 out. He bounced into that 4-6-3 double play, which we later saw Tracy from a great angle did not get his foot back on the bag in time. Now Votto ahead 2-0. Votto now 4 out of 15. Here comes Harper. Here comes Harper. Long run, and he gets to the ball, makes the catch. Went down onto the turf, but hung on for out number 1.
Right off the end of the bat for Joey Votto, and you've got to hand it to Bryce Harper. He was playing a very deep left field because Votto's got plenty of power. Had to come a long way to come to get that ball, and he's got very good speed. Harper does, and runs it down.
How about the technique of catching that ball? Caught it and had that protective hand right over the end of the glove.
That's a big out there for Detweiler.
Sure is. Here's Phillips. He reached, later scored, thanks to the throwing error by the shortstop Ian Desmond in the 4th. He's up there now in the 5th. For 2 in this game, 5 for 18 for Phillips here in the early going. Double play ball. There's one. There's another. And that's an inning-ending double play for the 2nd time in this game. Hit into by the Reds. 4-6-3 turned by the Nationals. Or visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. And by the JTN Food Group. Let's create great dishes together. Reds and the Nationals have battled through 5. Hits are even. Nationals lead by 1. And Bryce Harper, 3rd inning home run, still holding up for Davey Johnson's club. Here's Chad Tracy now. We talked earlier about him starting at first base in place of Adam LaRoche. We were told before the game that in his last at bat in the 6th inning, his back tightened up on him. He left the game. Tracy Moore took over at first last night. Chad Tracy getting the start at first base today. So a little bit of a stiff back. Puts Adam LaRoche out of the lineup here this afternoon. Tracy's hit the ball hard. He's singled in the center and lined to center in his 2 ABs in this game. Played for the Nationals last year, but he was a long time Diamondback. Mike Leake working here in the 6th inning. His pitch count at the start of this inning sitting at 70. Strike 3 called. He spun out of the way. Tim McClellan rings him up. Strikeout number 3 for Leake.
Yeah, what they call a front door fastball. He throws a little 2-seamer that looks like it's going to hit Chad Tracy right in the belt buckle and comes back and just touches the inside corner. We see more and more Reds pitchers throwing that pitch. I think it all started with Sam LeCure. He's a guy that has had that pitch in his pitching repertoire right from the beginning. We saw Homer Bailey throw it last night. We've seen Matt Latos throw it very successfully. And of course, Bronson Arroyo's been able to add that to his pitching repertoire also.
You say that's the two-seam fastball.
It's a two-seam fastball. You have to have really good mechanics, clear your hips to be able to throw it. But you throw it off the plate. It's a gutsy pitch. Because if you throw it too far over the center of the plate, I mean, that's one that hangs and goes a long, long way.
I guess the ideal situation, you want the batter to give up on the ball, and there it comes back.
That's exactly what Chad Tracy did, and Leake got the strikeout.
Now he's trying to put away Desmond. He's ahead 0-2. And he gets it. That ball in the dirt. Out is Desmond for the first time on strikes. 3 straight strikeouts now for Mike Leake, and how about 10 of the last 11 retired by this right-hander?
Well, he's on a little bit of a roll right now. We got a strikeout on a fastball from Chad Tracy. This time he fires up a little slider right there. Really good depth to that slider as the bottom drops out.
2 up, 2 down here in the 6th for Danny Espinosa.
Well, Leake's ready to go, and he's got to wait for Espinosa to get in the batter's box. Get it and go.
Yeah, this is by far the best stretch of this game that the former Arizona State pitcher has had. Well, this is not a sellout today, but what a great crowd on this first Saturday of the season. Sun shining. Marty Brennaman calls it the best sports day of the year. Final 4 basketball later on and baseball during the day.
Well, not only one game here at Great American Ballpark, but 2 games.
Right.
Fans who want to hang around and watch a little college baseball will be treated to Louisville versus Cincinnati. The Bearcats and the Cardinals teeing it up for the second of their 3-game set about 30 minutes after the end of this game.
Who won the game last night?
It would be Louisville 8-3 over the Bearcats. Louisville's got a good team this year. Right now they're ranked 14th in the country.
Dan McDonald's Cardinals against Brian Cleary's Bearcats. Got to be quite a thrill for college players to come out and play in a big league ballpark.
You know, we had Brian Cleary up in the booth the other night during one of the ball games, and we asked him if his team had played in a big league ballpark. And in spring training parks, yes, but not in a major league park. And of course, I imagine that there'll be a lot of people want to carry over and continue to soak up the sun and get some more baseball in. That'd be a good caliber of baseball, Big East baseball.
What about you in your college days? Did you ever get to play in a big league ballpark down in South Florida?
We did not.
Now you had a lot of spring training ballparks down there. Did you get to use those?
Yeah, we did. We played down there in Al Lopez Field in Tampa. Well, one time was the spring training side of the Reds. Played over at Joker Marchant Field in Detroit, or where the Detroit Tigers in Lakeland would train.
Well, that's been a long time home of the Tigers.
Yeah.
You've been back to your alma mater lately. They have a beautiful baseball facility.
Well, they have. They've got a beautiful. A lot more college teams nowadays are building really nice baseball fields. Can't even call them fields anymore. They're more like mini stadiums.
Yeah, they really are. Espinosa draws the walk. Third issued by Leake, and so he will get the number 8 hitter, the catcher Ramos, with a runner aboard and 2 out.
You know, you wonder if there's something psychological that happens, because it's not just Mike Leake. We saw it with Homer Bailey last night. You're cruising through an inning. You strike out the first 2. You got 3 in a row for strikeouts. You've retired 4 in a row altogether going back to last inning. And you kind of lose your concentration on the number 7 hitter, and you end up walking him. And now you face a guy that has some power.
Off-speed pitch, and he popped him up, but that ball's going to get out of play. Boy, he was really reaching on that pitch. Ramos, 25 years old, native of Venezuela. Runner going, swing and a miss. The throw's going to sail on into center field. That's going to allow the runner to move to third. Danny Espinosa Marlins, rather the Nationals, a runner 90 feet away with 2 outs.
They're going to send him back to first base. Are they calling interference on
the batter? It looks like Wilson Ramos. Yeah, they're going to send him back to first base.
Well, the batter can't interfere with the catcher by getting in his way. The follow through right there, I think it hits him. The bat actually hits Mesoraco, and that's what caused him to throw that ball into center field.
Hit him right in the back.
Yeah. It's a good call there by the home plate umpire, Tim McClellan. And an 0-2 count in the hitter.
Right by Trent Jewett, the third base coach of the Nationals, down there at third.
All right, that was a good hard fastball in on the hands of Ramos. Now you wonder, with the way he swung at that first pitch breaking ball that leaked through him, whether now you've got him set up for that same pitch right now.
Your thoughts on Leake's move to first?
Good athlete, quick feet. That's how you have a quick move to first base, with your feet.
If he can learn from watching Johnny Cueto, has one of the best.
Well, you can learn from watching, but you got to go out and practice it. And Mike Leake practices. He does all those other things when it comes to pitching very well. Fielding your position, holding runners, throwing to first. It was a breaking ball, all right, but he hung it inside.
Ramos had a very good year 2 years ago. Injury cut his season short last year. Now he appears to be sharing time behind the plate here in 2013 with Kurt Suzuki. Ramos, who caught Strasburg in their opening game against the Miami Marlins. Strasburg pitching here tomorrow. Will it be the rubber game of the series, or will the Reds be going for the sweep? Right now it's 2-1 Nationals. We're in the top of the 6th. This will be upcoming the 90th pitch of the night for Mike Leake. 90th pitch of the afternoon. Now Ramos will get a look at a 3-2 pitch, so the runner from first, Espinosa, will be on the move.
Well, they got very aggressive early in the count, ran ahead of him 0-2, and then now began to pick around the corners a little bit. Now you've got the full count.
There goes Espinosa. And a 3-2 pitch is hammered into left center field. Chu going back near the wall. Can't get it. Home run on a 3-2 pitch to Wilson Ramos. And the Nationals extend their lead to 4-1.
Well, that's got to be so disappointing to Mike Leake, to Dusty Baker, to Brian Price. You strike out the first two guys in the inning. You walk the number 7 hitter. And then you hang a breaking ball on a 3-2 count right down Broadway with the pitcher standing on deck, and now you're down by 3.
Detweiler. His situation gets better for him now. from a 1-run lead to a 3-1 lead. Boy, that was an interesting reaction there.
Well, it helps everything. I mean, remember that this Washington Nationals team, one of their biggest and best part of their ball club is their middle and late relief. They've got 3 arms down there that they can shorten the game very much like the Reds can in their back end of the bullpen. But I got to figure it comes down to that walk to Danny Espinosa. Then you're ahead of Wilson Ramos. No balls and 2 strikes. Then you kind of peck away at the corners until you've got a 3-2 count, and then you hang a breaking ball, and now it's a 3-run game.
Leake walks the pitcher, Ross Detweiler, and that's going to bring Brian Price out of the first base dugout. Where things were cruising along for Leake, 10 of the last 11, and then, as you mentioned, the walk, the home run, and now the walk to the pitcher.
Well, you got to sometimes just take a break on the mound, a mental break. You step off and you evaluate the situation. You give yourself a pep talk, and you get back up on the bump and you pitch.
Don't forget, the Reds Fan Express is back this year. You need to get on board. Bring your group to Great American Ballpark on the Fan Express to Reds Country. Simply call Reds Group Sales. The number is 513-765-7600, or you can log on to reds.com/fanexpress. Back here in 2013. Reds have action now in the bullpen. Right-hander Sam LeCure up and throwing. Bernard Span is 0 for 3. Yeah, you look at the bullpen of this Nationals team. They have 3 pitchers. Tyler Clippard, Drew Storen, Rafael Soriano, all who have been very successful in a closer's role.
Yeah, they've all had at least 30 saves in their major league careers.
League spot due up 5th in the bottom of the 6th inning, but surely this now, as he hits 98 pitches in this game, trying to get him through this frame. That'll be the end of the line. 1-2. Here comes pitch now, number 100 from Leake. Well, this has been a busy inning for Leake in terms of pitches. He came in with 70 pitches through 5, and he has now thrown 31 in this inning. Kozar. And Span is retired, but damage done by the Nationals. A 2-run homer to left center by Wilson Ramos gives the Nationals a 4-1 lead. American Ballpark. That's coming up on Monday, September the 23rd for the Bark in the Park, presented by Imes and Kroger. Make sure you arrive early. Check out the great samples and activities in the Kroger Fan Zone. Hurry and visit reds.com/dog day. Purchase your Bark in the Park dog package today. Remember that date, Monday, September the 23rd. Bark in the Park. Ross Detweiler, who had been on base when that inning came to an end on the ground ball by Span, finally gets to the mound, completes his warm-up tosses as he goes to work here in the bottom of the 6th inning. He's never defeated the Reds in his career in 4 starts. 0-3. He's in a pretty good position right now, leading 4-1. We told you Leake went into the 6th inning at 70 pitches. That is exactly the number that Detweiler has thrown through 5. Let's see what he does here in the bottom of the 6th. Bruce leads it off. Jay in the game, a hit and a fly out. Pulled the base hit into right. Went the other way with a fly ball out to left. He'll be followed by Frazier and Cozart.
Well, those extra 2 runs really ought to give Ross Detweiler really an extra bit of momentum out there, some fresh air, thinking, all right, I can go right after these guys. A solo home run's not going to hurt me. I'm going to throw a lot of strikes.
Tracy makes the play, feeds Detweiler. 3-1 put out on Bruce.
You know, we talked about Ross Detweiler making that 7-day 4-country tour with the USO.
Right.
And the Reds are doing a lot of things as well. You know, that the Reds for 7 years consecutively now on opening day have worked with Impact a Hero, and really all through the efforts of Bob Castellini and our own close Impact a Hero here in Cincinnati, Dick Lynch. There's Bob Castellini on your right. Talking it up with Rick Steiner today. The Reds are very involved in helping those coming back from all corners of the world who have given sacrifices to their country and helping them out trying to help enjoy baseball and make their lives better back here in the States.
Here's Frazier. He has a hit in this game and a run batted in. He's 1 for 2. Nationals leading 4-1. Reds batting here in the home 6th inning.
Tell you one thing, after the home run that Todd Frazier hit in the upper deck last night and the ball that he hit in the left center field wall earlier, Bryce Harper playing very, very deep. I mean, out there in left field, that's about as deep as you're ever going to see a left fielder play in this ballpark. Anything over Harper's head is a home run.
Certainly here in the early going, the ball has been jumping off the bat of Todd Frazier. Now he's up on the count, 3-1. 1 for 2 today puts him at 9 for 19 with 3 homers and 7 runs batted in. Even that ball right at the shortstop hit hard, and Desmond will throw Frazier out. And so Bruce grounds out. Frazier grounds out. 2 gone for Zach Cozart. This is how it started for the Nationals in the 6th. 2 out, nobody on, a walk, a homer. And they added to their advantage. Let's see if Cozart can get something started here with 2 men gone. Devin Mesoraco on deck. Cozart in this game twice has hit the ball in the air, once to left, once to center.
I mean, you can just feel the momentum of this ball game really switching around. Now, in my opinion, it started last inning. The Reds were able to get the first 2 runners on the 5th inning. Joey Votto weak fly ball to left field. Then Brandon Phillips quickly grounds into a double play, and then you're done. And then you get the first 2 guys out by Mike Leake, and then up walking to number 7 hitter, give up a 2-run bomb, and now you're down by 3. And now all of a sudden the crowd is kind of lifeless. And what was once a crowd that was really into this ball game, they're kind of sitting back and kind of waiting for something to happen.
Well, maybe this is the start of it as Cozart lines that ball in the hole and out in the left. Reds get the base hit. That's their 6th hit of the game. Here's Mesoraco. Yeah, there's no question that those 2 double play balls in the third, same situation. 2 on, nobody out. Force out, double play ball hit into by Votto. 5th inning, 2 on, nobody out. Fly ball, double play hit into by Phillips. Mesoraco 0 for 1 with an intentional walk. Slowly towards short. Cut off by Zimmerman. Nice play by the third baseman, the former Gold Glover. Cuts that ball off in front of Desmond. Throws out Mesoraco, putting an end to the bottom of the 6th inning. Cincinnati and Northern Kentucky Honda dealers. Here's your Honda game summary. Bryce Harper in the third got the scoring started. 2-run homer deep into the seats in right. His 3rd of the year, made it 2-0 Nats. Reds cut it in half with this double by Frazier in the 4th inning into left center field that scored Phillips, making it a 2-1 game. And that disastrous top of the 6th, that hanging breaking ball at 3-2 to Wilson Ramos, sent Chu to the wall in vain. That made it 4-1 Washington. That's where we are now as we enter inning number 7. And a new pitcher on for the Reds. Finished is Mike Leake. On is Sam LeCure.
Well, in the words of a scout that I spoke to about the Reds and the Nationals yesterday, said Sam LeCure is the best relief pitcher in the league nobody's ever heard of. We've heard of him here in Cincinnati. 48 games last year for Sam. He's been in 2 games previous to today. Opponent batting average down there low like it normally is. Had an earned run average last year down right around 3.
Well, he was lights out his last time out in the 8th inning against the Angels on Thursday. Struck out the side in his only inning of work, and here he is now to face Jason Worth to get this inning started.
Wow.
Wow, that ball is tattooed into right center field, and a first pitch home run for Jason Worth. He had a 3-run homer the other night against the Marlins, and he gets a solo shot here, his 2nd of the year. 3 home run balls in this game by Washington, and their lead now is 5-1.
Pretty good idea right there for Jason Worth, figuring reliever coming into the ball game. First pitch is going to get a fastball. LeCure fires one in there, and Worth is ready.
Worth has put together a 3-hit game today. Single, double, home run. Here's Bryce Harper. out of the reach of LeCure. Cut off by Cozart off his glove, and Harper is aboard. Here's the end of the play.
Home run ball by Jason Worth goes into way in right center field. Look at the catch out there, though. Trying to see, he's got a baby in one hand, does he? And the ball in the other. There he is.
Coordination right there. Ryan Zimmerman now the batter. Harper on. Worth home run to start this inning. 5-1 Nationals.
They gave Harper a base hit on that. Right? Or no scoring
Nothing
decision yet.
Being debated off to our left.
It would be an interesting error, really, because the ball was hit really on the second base side of second base, so the shortstop comes way across. He's playing Harper up the middle anyway. But Kozak went a long way to get that ball, and it kind of came up on him as he was coming across the infield. Here's a play again. It goes right over the head of Sam LeCure. Can't reach it. Look how far it is across the second base bag and goes right off the heel of Zach Cozart. That might go down as an error. What do I know? They just gave him a base hit.
Harper now 2 for 4, credited with an infield single on that ball. Double play ball. Phillips, Cozart, Votto. First of the day turned by Cincinnati. So now Chad Tracy will bat with 2 men out and the bases empty. Reds work cut out for them now. They trailed 2-0, 2-1, 4-1, and now 5-1 here in the 7th. Chad Tracy 1 out of 3, took a call, 3rd strike his last time. He pops it up. Frazier in foul ground handles it. Inning is over, but not before the Nationals add to their lead on the Jason Worth long ball. Now 5-1 Nationals. question of the afternoon: who holds the MLB record for home runs by a second baseman in a single season? Who's the MLB record holder for home runs by a second baseman in a single season? Our AT&T trivia question of the afternoon. 5-1 Nationals, middle of the 7th inning. New pitcher on now for Washington. What a good afternoon turned in by the St. Louis area native Ross Detweiler. 6 innings of 1 unearned run baseball, and he gives way to one of the 3 guys we were talking about earlier who's had 30+ saves in a season. This is Tyler Clippard, who did it last year for Davey Johnson's club.
Well, you're right. This is the part of the bullpen that Davey Johnson just loves to get to. Hand the ball to that back end and say, hey, you got a lead right here, hold it right there. Tyler Clippard, very capable, good earned run average last year, down below 4. He strikes out more than 1 batter per inning. And in 72 innings last year, he only gave up 55 hits. So he's hard to hit, hard to score on. And the Reds are going to have their hands full.
Right, Drew Storn was a closer for this Nationals club, still with the team. He went out with that elbow injury, the bone chip last year, and they just simply turned to this guy, and he was lights out. Now they get Soriano in here. They had a very good bullpen, as we talked about last year, and a very good pitching staff overall. They add to it with the veteran Soriano. This is the hard-throwing Clippard, and he gets Derek Robinson, who will pinch hit. Made his big league debut last night, reached on an error. Switch hitter batting from the left side. A bid for his first big league hit, and it's thwarted by Danny Espinosa, who climbed the ladder on that soft line drive and made the catch.
I thought he may have had one right there. Perfect timing on the grab by Espinosa.
So 1 out. Top of the order now, and Shin-Soo Choo. Talking earlier, you mentioned he's a strikeout pitcher, Tyler Clippard. Last year, 84 Ks in 72 innings. 2 years ago, 104 Ks in 88 innings. He can bring the heat. Quickly gets ahead of Chu, 2 strikes. Clippard did not allow a run this spring training in 10 innings worth of work. He comes right after Chu and takes care of him on 3 pitches.
Well, he's not messing around at all, is he? He's got kind of an interesting delivery. Clippard does, comes right over the top, but as a hitter standpoint, he throws that glove at you. Next thing you know, that arm is coming right over the top in the mid-90s.
Here's Heisey. Chris is 1 out of 3.
Part of pitching is not just how hard you throw or the stuff that moves, but it's also deception to the hitter. Watch from the hitter's standpoint, that arm, the glove, and then right over the top, Clippard, who's 6'3", comes roaring with that fastball.
Here he brings an off-speed pitch. Yeah, you're right. That left arm, and he puts that up. Really helps in the deception of his delivery. Reds have not gone down in order yet today. Pinch hitter Derek Robinson at a soft line drive. Snared by the second baseman Espinoza. Chu struck out on 3 pitches. Heisey batting now. Reds down by 4 at 5-1. Heisey chased that one in the dirt. He's a strikeout victim. And Tyler Clippard disposes of the Reds in order here in the bottom of the 7th. Signature Reds exhibit presented by Dinsmore and Scholl. Experience the world of autographs, including over 1,500 signed baseballs, photographs, game-used equipment, and more. To plan your next visit, you simply call 513-765-7923, or you can log on to redsmuseum.org. And remember, after every Reds game, Fox Sports Ohio will break it down for you here. Interviews from the players, talk with the manager, Dusty Baker. That's Reds Live post-game, brought to you by Kings Honda and the Kings Auto Mall. Visit KingsHondaUSA.com. Leadoff ground ball to short off the bat of Desmond. And Alfredo Simon, who enters this game as a third Reds pitcher. 1 pitch, 1 out. Batter is Danny Espinoza. Alfredo Simon, like today's national starter Ross Detweiler, worked in the World Baseball Classic. Because of that, there was some question as to whether he was going to make this team out of spring training due to the lack of work he received with the Dominican team.
Now, the problem, though, is that if he didn't make the ball club, they wouldn't be able to outright him or send him down to the minor leagues and still keep him. So there's a risk that he wouldn't be able to stay with his ball club. He might be able to be picked up by somebody else. So what they did is accelerate the spring training program when he got back from the WBC. Threw as much as he could, minor league games, major league games, to get his arm in shape. He looks like he's back to where he ought to be.
Yeah, most of his work in spring training after he got back was on the backfields.
Well, he was a big part of the bullpen last year. 36 games, 61 innings. So he came in and pitched more than just an inning at a time or just to a couple of batters.
To the mound and handled by the big right-hander. And Espinoza gone 1-3. Here comes Wilson Ramos to the plate. Big blow in this game off his bat in the 6th inning against Mike Leake. Leake had struck out Tracy, struck out Desmond, got ahead but then lost Danny Espinosa to a walk, then got ahead and had to come up with a 3-2 pitch to Ramos, who deposited it just to the left of the Reds bullpen area out in left center field. One of 3 home runs the Nationals have hit today. That one scoots him off the plate. 2-0. Reds in their half of the 8th. Big part of the order. 3, 4, 5. Votto, Phillips, Bruce. Anybody gets on? Frazier. A pitcher spot for the Nationals is due next. They do have in the on-deck circle Roger Bernardina. He appeared in the game as a pinch hitter last night. Swinging bunt there. Simon's going to get it and throw just in the nick of time to get Ramos at first base. So 1, 2, 3. Alfredo Simon, top of the 8th. Big chance now for the Reds here in the bottom half. AT&T trivia question of the day: who holds the major league record for home runs by a second baseman in a single season? How about the manager of the Nationals? Davey Johnson in 1973 hit 43 of them. It's the only year really in his career that he showed any real power. 43 in 1973, the all-time major league record for home runs by a second baseman. And there's the top 5. Modern day, Ryne Sandberg had 40 of them from 23 years ago. Rogers Hornsby, power hitter before his time, back in the roaring 20s. New pitcher on for the Nationals. Another man with 30-plus saves in a year, Drew Storen.
Yeah, you might say that this is the way Davey Johnson likes to draw it up. When you get to the 7th inning, he turns it over to Tyler Clippert. Then he brings in Drew Storen for the 8th, and you've signed a new reliever out there, Rafael Soriano, to pick it up as a closer. three hard-throwing right-handers, back to back to back.
We talked about Storr, and he missed a good part of the early days of last season due to bone chips in his elbow. He ended up appearing in 37 games, 4 saves with a fine 2.37 ERA. He had 43 saves 2 years ago as a closer for this club. Grew up in Indianapolis, Reds country, really. Played collegiately at Stanford. His chore here is to work the bottom of the 8th. Nationals leading 5-1. Votto on 3 pitches. Heads back to the dugout. He strikes out. So far out of this bullpen, Clippard in order in the 7th. Storr the first man here in the 8th.
Yeah, it looked like Storr took something off that pitch. Good arm action. Made it look to Votto like a fastball was coming. He dropped the slider, dropped the changeup on him, and nice placement. Votto goes down on 3.
Well, that had good tail away from him, didn't it, at the end? Here's Phillips. He's 0 for 3. Scored the lone Reds run back in the 4th when he reached on an error. High and deep into right center field by Phillips. Span on the move. He can't get it. Brandon's going to end up at second with a 1-out double. Let's see if that can turn into something. Second time on base for Phillips in this game. That's his second double of the year.
Now he gets a fastball about thigh-high inner side of the plate. He likes it right there, but he's going the other way with it. And I think he thought for a while he had enough to get this ball out of here. Denard Span can't catch up with it right against the wall. A double that keeps it alive for the Reds, and more power at the plate than Jay Bruce.
Jay in this game has a hit. He's 1 out of 3. He had a single back in the 2nd against the starter Detweiler. He goes the other way again, sinking fast down in front of Harper for a hit. Harper comes up feeling that ball, and Phillips, who had an idea about heading toward the plate, put the brakes on when Chris Spire stopped him over there.
That was a good call right there by Chris Spire, acting as third base coach in place of Mark Berry, because Bryce Harper's got a gun and he comes up firing right here. You're 3 runs down. There's no reason even to try to push this run across. Probably would have been out at the plate, so the Reds have him on the corners, tying run at the plate, and the guy with enough power to tie this baby up coming up.
Frazier's 1 out of 3.
Oh, excuse me. That extra run off McCure makes it a 4-run game. I'm only a couple innings behind on my scoreboard.
You'll catch up here in a moment. Frazier an RBI double in the 4th. 3 home runs, 7 RBIs on the year. Including a pair of them last night. Not many of these Reds at all have faced Storin. One of those is Frazier, getting a first look at this right-hander. Votto struck out. Phillips doubles off the wall in right center. Bruce drops one into left for his second hit of the game. We had a pair of doubles last night, a pair of singles today. Frazier with Cozart on deck. Reds have never led this afternoon. Short end right now of 5-1, but an opportunity to cut into that deficit. to right, and a hit for Frazier. His 8th RBI of the year. Phillips will score, and it's a 5-2 game. One of those classic Todd Frazier swings right there.
Well, you're not kidding about that, but he had the right side of the infield wide open. With runners on the corner, you had the first baseman holding the runner, and it opened up the right side for Frazier to just to kind of scoot one through. Frazier figured out a way to get it done. Now it is a 3-run game.
He really maintains remarkable power despite being off balance on that swing.
Well, what surprises me there, because his whole backside is coming out. I mean, it's coming out towards the third base dugout, but is the plate coverage. A lot of times when you back out with your body, you can't cover the outer part of the plate, but he's bending at the waist, and he's still able to keep that bat so they can hit the outside pitch. Now here's another look at that Todd Frazier swing. Now, I don't recommend this at home or to teach it to your 7th grader, but Todd Frazier's figured out a way to make that work.
Meanwhile, Cozart finds himself in the hole, 2 strikes. Bruce leads away at second, Frazier from first. There's a Rocco next, then the pitcher's spot.
Storen is a 3-pitch pitcher. Good fastball, slider, and a changeup. Likely not to throw the changeup in this at bat. He just hung a slider up and out of the zone. Probably come back with an attempt to throw a better one right here.
Zach laid off that one, 2-2.
All right, so now you missed twice in a row with a slider. You missed once up and in, then you overthrow the next one, you bury it down and away. Might he come back with his 93, 94 mile an hour fastball right here?
Broken bat towards center. That ball chased down by the second baseman Espinoza. Didn't quite have enough distance on it. Espinoza tracks it down for the second out.
Well, he did indeed come back with a fastball. It gets right in on the hands of Zach Cozart, who thinks he may be able to dump one in there. A good pursuit by the National second baseman.
Here's Mesoraco. He's grounded out twice. In between that, an intentional pass. That was back in the 4th. Looking for his first RBIs here of 2013. He represents the tying run in a 5-2 game. Hammers this one to short, right between the wickets of Desmond. Here comes Bruce to the plate. Throw is way offline. That's going to allow the runners to move up to second and third. It's 5-3, and now the tying runs are in scoring position. Mesoraco scalded that ball.
Well, he hit it very hard, but it was right at the shortstop. And I got to think that Jay Bruce getting in the way of the shortstop, he and Desmond right here, contributed to Desmond not being able to pick that ball up. Goes right through the wickets into the outfield. Bryce Harper trying to make something out of nothing right there. Fires it nearly to the screen. But the key right there is that it allows Mesoraco, the tying run, to get the second base.
Desmond will be charged with his second error of the day, 1 throwing, 1 fielding. Harper is charged with an error on that overthrow to the plate that allows Frazier to end up at third and Mesoraco down to second. Steve McCanty's been out on the mound visiting with his infield. Now he turns and heads back to the dugout. Xavier Paul will get the opportunity here as the pinch hitter for Simon. The second and third and 2 out. Take a look at our Miller time moment. This game last night. Pinch hit home run by Xavier Paul. How about if he can deliver here again? Second and third with 2 out. Ball 1. By the way, that pinch hit home run by Xavier Paul last night, the first pinch hit home run of a grand slam nature by a Reds player since Drew Sutton did it late May of 2010. Sutton now in the Boston organization. Now Storen ahead, a ball and 2 strikes.
Yeah, change-up, fastball, change-up so far in this at-bat for Xavier Paul from Storen.
Tying run is Mesoraco out at second. 2 and 2.
Boy, good eye right there to lay off a tantalizing slider. I get the feeling that they want to get Xavier Paul out on that little changeup down and away. The same pitch that Storen struck out Joey Votto on. They've got a base open, so there's no need that they have to pitch to him here, but you certainly don't want to put the go-ahead run on base.
Shu waits next. Oh, Paul chased that one out of the strike zone. He's a strikeout victim. Storen gives up 2, and the Reds are right back in this one through 8, down 5-3. That's tomorrow. Johnny Cueto, opening day starter for the Reds. Steven Strasburg, opening day starter for the Nationals. Wrap up of this series, wrap up of the homestand. 1:10 tomorrow. Supposed to be a nice weather day. Come on out, see you at the ballpark. You'll also catch it right here in Fox Sports Ohio, beginning at 12:30 with Reds Live. New pitcher now for the Reds, their 4th. This is big Jonathan Broxton. Roger Bernardina will bat for Drew Storen. Nationals trying to add to a 5-3 lead here in the 9th inning. Bernardina has appeared in 2 games for the Nationals, including last night. He walked as a pinch hitter in the 5th in that game. He faces Broxton. Jonathan appearing for the 3rd time. 2 innings, 1 hit, 1 unearned run. He was last out there on Wednesday. He was charged with a blown save in the 5-4 Reds win when he gave up a run in the 8th, albeit unearned. Bernardina here in the 9th, and then the top of the order featuring Denard Span and Jason Worth. Got it. Big Jonathan Broxton disposes of the pinch hitter to start the 9th.
Well, he throws strikes, Broxton does. He no longer throws 98, 99 miles an hour like he did back in the days of he first came up to the Los Angeles Dodgers. But that, I believe, is a 91 mile an hour, either a cutter or maybe a slider. The way it came out of his hand, you saw that spiral, kind of like a football spiral. So he backdoors the outside corner with the cutter to get a strikeout.
He is now with Denard Span. Frazier cheats in on the grass. Only the 5th strikeout by Reds pitchers today. Last night's game they struck out 7, and so with 43 strikeouts the first 4 games, that is a new Reds franchise record to start the season. Phillips to Votto, 2 out. We look ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning. Reds will have the top of the order up. Chu, the lefty, Heisey, then Votto, the lefty. Going in the bullpen, Rafael Soriano. Worth a solo homers last time. That was in the 7th. Today, 3 out of 4. And him chasing there. That's going to drive Chu back to the track right in front of the wall. He hauls it in, and Jonathan Broxton does his job, sets the Nationals down in order here in the top of the 9th. Now due up in the bottom of the inning. Chu, Heisey, Votto down by a pair at 5-3. honor roll for Best Children's Hospital. And by Chevy. Visit your Tri-State Chevy dealer today and get great pricing on a brand new 2013 Chevy. Last chance for the Reds here. Bottom of the 9th inning. Middle game of this 3-game series. Reds and the Nationals. Reds cut into the deficit with 2 in the bottom of the 8th. Left the tying runs on and now must do it against the new closer of this Nationals club, the former Yankee, Rafael Soriano.
Former Atlanta Brave, former Tampa Bay Ray, former Seattle Mariner. He's been all over the place, and more than often he's been very good. Saved 45 games with the Rays a few years ago. He saved 42 with the Yankees last year.
How about losing Rivera last year and getting this guy?
Well, it really helped the Yankees, obviously, but he's a 2-pitch pitcher. Soriano is. Good fastball, 93, 94, and a very good slider.
33-year-old brings it. Chu swings and misses for a strike. Chu in the game has been on twice, once via the hit. He takes that one on the inside corner, and he's down 2 strikes. She was 1 out of 2 lifetime against Soriano. Soriano with 2 saves on the year. Reds down by a pair, 5-3. They've out-hit the Nationals 9-8. That even sings it 2-2. Chu sends it high, sends it deep to right. 1-run game. Home run. Shin-Soo Choo hits 3rd. 5-4 now. The Reds down by just a run.
Boy, what a start to this season for Chu. Gets what looks like a slider right here, and he hangs it right in the wheelhouse. Soriano does, and there's Chu to drive it into the sun deck. Man, oh man, what a start he's having.
Here now is Heising. He represents the tying run.
Boy, what looks like a very comfortable lead a couple of innings ago is now a 1-run game.
Heising now gets ahead, 2 balls and a strike. That one's going to get out of play. It will not. Ramos over near the on-deck circle makes the catch, and that's the first out here in the bottom of the 9th. Here's Votto. Reds were down 5-1 going into the bottom of the 8th. They scored twice. They get the home run from Chu here to make it 5-4. Votto represents the tying run with 1 out. And he'll get a look at a 2-0 pitch.
Yeah, he's gotten 2 fastballs first 2 pitches, and none of them are to his liking.
Reds had 44 of their 97 wins a year ago or come from behind victories. They're looking for their first here in 2013. Now it's 3-0.
Right now, the Nationals are playing the prevent defense. They've got their outfielder just about hugging the warning track. First baseman down on the line, trying to take away a double from the Reds.
Phillips waits on deck. 3-0 to Votto. Soriano pours a strike in there. 3-1. He took the air right out of this place with that swing.
Well, he did. He got the pitch he wanted, a 3-1 fastball, just a hair late. Not happy with the swing. I think he felt like he dropped his shoulder a little bit. Now he goes into 2-strike mode, chokes up a little bit.
To left field by Votto. Harper back. Near the wall. Can't get it. It's off the wall. Votto has himself a double. He'll keep moving. He's on his way to third, and he gets there ahead of the throw. Almost tied this game with an opposite field home run. Way up off the wall and left by Votto. And now the tying run is 90 feet away with 1 out.
How about the adjustment that Joey Votto makes in the middle of the at-bat? He chokes up. He was late on the 3-1 pitch. He's not late on the 3-2 pitch. And he nearly flips this ball out of here to left field. Harper goes up. It bounces off the wall. Votto reads the play perfectly and heads into a 1-out triple. Man, oh man, what a player.
Votto's first hit of the day gives him a 3-base hit, and now Davy Johnson's infield is in. Votto represents the tying run. Phillips in this game 1 for 4. He represents the winning run. Wild pitch. Here comes Votto. He slides across. Game tied 5-all here in the bottom of the 9th.
Just a getaway slider right there from Soriano. Ramos never had a chance. A ball bounced to the backstop, and here comes Votto. This game is tied. All of a sudden, this crowd is on its feet. They're rocking and rolling at Great American Ballpark.
You talked about Ramos's 2-run homer switching the energy of this ballpark off. It's back on now. Here's a strike, a ball, a strike. 34,762 here this afternoon. Most, if not all of them, on their feet right now. Jay Bruce waits next. Reds trailed 5-1 going into the bottom of the 8th. Votto struck out. Phillips doubled. Bruce singled. Frazier drove 1 home. An error by the shortstop. Desmond allowed another run to score. And now in this inning, homer by Chu, triple by Votto, and a wild pitch. Now a ground ball toward the hole. Cut off Zimmerman. He comes up throwing.
Well, what a play. Well, we've seen him make a couple of dandy plays. Once earlier in this ball game, cutting in front of the shortstop. This time Zimmerman lays out, comes up, and just flips it right on the money.
Phillips hustling all the way, unable to leg it out, so there are 2 gone. Now it's on the shoulders of Bruce. Jay looking for his first homer of the year. Big cut there and a miss. A ball, a strike. 2 doubles last night. 2 singles today for Bruce. 1 run batted in this year. 33 homers a year ago. He's jammed on that pitch. Hits it into right center. Span will make the catch. And this game will proceed to extra innings on this Saturday afternoon here at Great American Ballpark. To the 10th we go. Tied at 5. Ninth, the Reds get 2 in each inning, and so now for the second time this year into extra innings. This game tied at 5. Pitcher number 5 for the Reds, the hard-throwing lefty, the Cuban missile.
Well, while the Reds uprising probably gave cause for Davy Johnson to wonder what he was going to do pitching-wise if this game got tied. There was no question about it for Dusty Baker. He was going to Chapman. Chapman will come in for the 4th game this year. Unscored upon.
Jonathan Broxton, an inning of shutout relief. Alfredo Simon, an inning of shutout relief. Both 1-2-3 frames, and now it's Chapman. And they'll get Bryce Harper, Ryan Zimmerman, and Chad Tracy here in the 10th inning.
Man, what an inning for the Reds. Leadoff home run by Chu, a triple by Votto, and that home run earlier in the game against Mike Leake by a 2-run job by Bryce Harper gave the Nationals a lead, and it didn't look like for a while that they were ever going to look back.
Harper's hit against Chapman once. He struck out against him.
Good matchup here.
10th inning underway. Harper in the game, 2 out of 4. Reached on that chopper to the second baseman side of second base his last time in a ball fielded by the shortstop Cozart. Now he's at a ball, a strike. Big crowd rewarded here this afternoon with a little extra baseball.
That is a slider.
Heck of a compliment, isn't it?
Boy, I'll tell you what.
Ball and 2 strikes. Got it on another one.
That's That's a mismatch right there, and I'll tell you, it's the same thing he did to Josh Hamilton when he faced the Los Angeles Angels. Threw a fastball by him, and then dropped 2 sliders on him, and it was over at that point.
Down swinging goes Harper. Here's Ryan Zimmerman. Zimmerman in this game, nothing out of 3. That one a 96-mile-an-hour fastball for strike 1. Strike 2. Tim McClellan has that slow, and always has that slow strike call. Fans react a little bit later than normal.
Yeah, almost like a delayed reaction by the umpire.
1-2. Got him. That one at 98. So he gets Harper on sliders, Zimmerman on fastball.
Well, we've seen this about Aroldis Chapman. Your best chance of contact, at least if you want to hit a ball in the neighborhood of 93 to 95, you better swing early in the inning. Because by the time he gets 6 or 7 pitches under his belt, he's dropping it in there at the high 90s and beyond.
2 up, 2 down for Chad Tracy, who is 1 for 4 today. Lefty-lefty matchup here. It's certainly in the favor of Chapman when he goes against left-handers. They hit a mere 108 against him in 2012. Not the righties did that much better. They were under 200 as well. Ball and a strike.
Well, the difference we've seen so far with Aroldis Chapman, it looks like the Reds have made a concerted effort to make him use his slider, make him use his other pitches besides that fastball.
Ball and 2 strikes on Tracy. Looking ahead, Reds 10th inning. Frazier, Cozart, Mesoraco, 6, 7, 8 in the order. Got him. 3 batters, 3 strikeouts. Down goes Harper. Down goes Zimmerman. Down goes Tracy. Take a look at Aroldis Chapman. Retiring the side via the K in the top of the 10th. Strikeout, giving his team a chance now in the bottom of the 10th. Boy, very competitive baseball between these two teams. How about this? 5 times now in the last 10 games against the Nationals, these teams have gone extra innings. 2-2 record. Last year they went extra innings 3 times, the longest being 13 innings. Here they are in the bottom of the 10th this afternoon. New pitcher on is Craig Stammen. New first baseman is Tyler Moore. Frazier to get it started. There's a winning run on as Frazier gets another base hit. Boy, this guy's really come out of the gate smoking. 3 hits today for Todd Frazier in 5 at-bats, and now 11 hits in 22 at-bats this year, a .500 average.
Well, the Nationals decided to play prevent defense by putting the third baseman on the line over there, and that opened up that hole at third base. That would normally be a ground ball right at the third baseman. But because Zimmerman's hugging the bag, that ball goes right by him in the left field. The Reds have reached the winning run to first.
Let's see if Kozar's job now is to move that runner along via a sacrifice bunt. Mesoraco on deck. Reds would no doubt use Hanahan as a pinch hitter should it get by in terms of the order. Mesoraco, left-handed bat. Those are 1 out of 4. Stammen, a local guy, went to the University of Dayton.
He's from Coldwater, Ohio originally. In fact, he holds the all-time strikeout record for the Flyers. Best pitch is a curveball.
Short lead by Frazier. Kozar gets the bunt down. Moore fields. He feeds Espinoza. Sacrifice successful. It goes 3-4. And now 2 chances to get the winning run home. The first of which will fall on the shoulders of Mesoraco. Reds trying to complete a big comeback here. Trailed 5-1 in the bottom of the 8th with 1 out. Scored 2 in the bottom of the 8th. 2 more in the bottom of the 9th to tie it. Now the winning run at second with 1 out here in the bottom of the 10th. Hanahan is indeed now in the on-deck circle for the Reds. There's Frazier representing the winning run. 3 hits this afternoon for him. Only the 2nd game of the year for Stammen. Mesoraco hit the ball right on the nose his last time up. That was that ball that went between the wickets of Desmond with help from Jay Bruce, who was running interference right in front of him.
Boy, good block right there by Ramos. That ball gets away, you put that winning run at third base. Then it changes entirely the strategy of the inning. That's that curveball we were talking about that is his best pitch. Comes right back with it.
now scored against each of the last two Nationals relievers, Storen and Soriano. And he did the same here against Stammen. Thought about it, laid off, 2-1.
Well, he just does not want to give Devin Mesoraco anything straight. Of course, you've got first base open. There's no reason to feed right into the hitter's strength if you don't have to.
1 out in the inning. Hanahan, a left-handed hitter, on deck. Mesoraco high, deep into center. Span going back, near the wall, will make the catch. And Frazier did not tag to move up. He stays at second base. Another couple of feet, and that's a 2-run walk-off homer.
Well, if you think there's a chance a ball's going to fall in there, you don't tag up. If you know that the ball will be caught, that's when you would go back, and it was one of those tweeners right there. He wasn't sure whether Span was going to get to it, whether the wind was going to carry it out of here. Right up against the wall, he's kind of certain at first, and by the time he makes a decision not to go, it's too late to change his mind.
Dusty, like the rest of us, he thought that ball off the bat was out of here.
Yeah.
So now it's Hanahan to pinch hit for Chapman. Try to get this winning run home. Hanahan is 1 for 2. He had a pinch hit single last night, his first Reds hit. Looking for his first Reds RBI right here. Make this team a winner. Frazier the winning run out at second. J.J. Hoover. Well, he's been busy early. He's in the Reds bullpen. Frazier led off with a single to left. Cozart moved him along with a sacrifice. Mesoraco sent the ball to the wall in center. Span caught it. Now it's Hanahan. Check swing. He went around. And the Reds leave the winning run out at second base. We will move on to the 11th here at Great American Ballpark, even at 5. for the second short track race of the season, where Daytona 500 champion Jimmy Johnson looks for his 7th career victory, while defending champion Ryan Newman tries to defend his title. Fox Sports exclusive coverage of Sprint Cup racing begins tomorrow at 12:30 Eastern Time. 11th inning now, and the very busy J.J. Hoover is into the game.
Seems like every time you turn around, you're seeing Hoover in there. He was in last night's ball game, pitched the 9th inning, gave up a double, and no other action besides that.
Overall, his 4th appearance, covering 3 1/3 innings. Hoover was the losing pitcher on opening day in that 13-inning loss to the Angels. He works here against Ian Desmond to start the 11th. Desmond is 0 for 4. It's Desmond, then Espinosa, then Ramos. 6, 7, 8 in the Nationals order.
Well, the Reds are really down to 2 pitchers. That would be J.J. Hoover in the game now and Manny Parra. Parra was in for a couple of innings last night. When they used Alfredo Simon earlier in the game, he came in the 8th inning. He was normally your long man. If you go into a long extra inning affair, a long man is a guy that normally gets the call.
Even sinks now to Desmond at 2-2. Of course, we don't know anything more about Sean Marshall. We were told he had the tired shoulder. Threw a bullpen yesterday. Still has not appeared in the game. Way back by Desmond, and the Nationals regain the lead on their 4th home run of the afternoon. Washington now back in front 6-5. First home run of the year for Ian Desmond. Desmond had gotten off to a slow start this year. He hit 25 home runs a year ago. Boy, that thing jumped off his bat. A second deck shot.
Now they got a hanger breaking ball right there, which is not J.J. Hoover's best pitch. But you just wonder how much Hoover has in that arm of his, having been used now 4 times in the first 6 games of this season.
He gave up a total of 2 home run balls as a member of the Reds last year in 30 2/3 innings. Now one hit to left. Nice play by Heisey coming on.
I really got to figure that if Sean Marshall was available, we'd see him in there right now today, or right now in this inning. And it's probably not the first choice of wanting to run Hoover out there one more time, but you're kind of back against the wall right now with the way the bullpen is. One man short with Marshall not being available.
Here's Ramos. Showed his power earlier. A 2-run homer in the 6th inning. One of the 4 that this Nationals club has hit today.
Boy, this ballpark went from being loud and raucous to eerily quiet right now on that home run by Ian Desmond.
And an ebb and flow of this crowd today, that's for sure. High highs and low lows. Right now, one of the lows. Down 6-5, 11th inning. Home run by Ian Desmond has given the Nationals a lead once again. Reds have never led Trailed early 2-0, then trailed 2-1, then 5-1. Tied it with 2 in the 8th, 2 in the 9th. Now the Nationals have regained the advantage here in the 11th. The Reds will have the top of the order due up in the bottom of the 11th inning. That's the same crew that tied the game in the 9th inning. There's another blast to deep center field. That ball will leave the ballpark. And the Nationals have hit 2 solo homers in the 11th. One by Desmond, one by Ramos. A multi-home run day for the Nationals catcher. And they're now leading 7-5. So Hoover gives up 2 home runs last year in 30 2/3. He's now given up 2 home runs this year in 3 2/3. Tyler Moore bats for the first time. He took over at first base. Moore took over for Adam LaRoche late in the game last night at first, went 0 for 1. That's his only at bat of the year thus far. Even the line out to left by Espinoza was hard hit. Second multi-home run game of the career of the Nationals catcher Wilson Ramos. It comes here at Great American Ballpark. Gives the Nationals a 7-5 lead here in the 11th. That's strike 3 call. He drops the curveball in there. 2 out. Batter is Denard Span, hitless in this game. Nothing out of 5. Tavato stays down as it going to his left. Feeds Hoover. Out at first is Denard Span. But the damage done. Solo home runs by Ian Desmond. Wilson Ramos. Reds coming up bottom of the 11th. Down 7-5. Cut into that with a long home run to right by Shin-Soo Choo against Rafael Soriano to make it 5-4. And then Votto comes up on a 2-strike pitch, hammers this ball over the head of Harper, End result was a 3-baser for Joey Votto. And then a wild pitch by Soriano got Votto across to tie the game at 5. Our John Merrill hot dog plays of the game. Now the Reds need some late magic again. Craig Stammen back out there. He allowed a hit to start the 10th, but worked around that. Now gets the top of the order. Chu, Heisey, Votto. Again, the Reds down by a pair at 7-5. Chu in this game, 2 hits, been on base 3 times. All of the home runs he's hit this year have been solo. Hit 16 long balls a year ago. 3 in this first week. Two and two now to Chu. That is out number 1. 2 strikes out for the second time today.
Nice sinking fastball by Craig Stammen right there. That ball looked like it was going to be on the outer third, and then just really had some running action that took it off the dish.
So now it's Chris Heisey. Chris had a base hit in the 5th. He's 1 for 5. He bats with the bases empty, 1 out. Stammen gets ahead with a strike. Ross Detweiler certainly pitched well enough to get a win in this game for the Nationals. 6 innings, 1 unearned run. He allowed 6 hits. Not involved in the decision. Rafael Soriano, a blown save. Stammen, the pitcher of record. Mike Leake, 4 runs, 6 hits, 6 innings. First of the Reds' 5 starters not to turn in a quality start. Heisey disposed of on 3 pitches.
Yeah, same
Craig
pitch.
Stammen.
And same result for Stammen. He's got that little sinking fastball really working.
Now it's up to Votto. Triple over the head of Bryce Harper's last time. He's 1 for 4. Reds down 7-5, 2 out, 9th inning. Pardon me, 11th inning. Well, he can get on. Phillips is on deck. Two and out of Votto. Two and 1. Votto battling here. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Phillips waiting for a chance in the on-deck circle. Full count now to Votto. Stammen in his 2nd inning of work. coaxes a walk out of Standing. So Phillips will get a chance as the tying run with a runner aboard, 2 out in the 11th.
Yeah, that's your job at this point in the ball game, is just to get on base. You need somebody on to be able to tie it up with one swing. And Phillips is capable.
Brandon in this game has a hit. He doubled back in the 8th inning. 1 out of 5. He scored twice. Certainly capable, has the long ball power. Hit 18 of them a year ago. All 1 low. Jay Bruce now emerges into the on-deck circle. Votto takes off as Phillips swings and misses. They were not holding Votto. That's defensive indifference, sending Joey into scoring position. Ball on a strike. Hammered. That'll make it a 1-run game. In the alley to left center field, all the way to the wall. Votto scores. It's 7-6. Phillips is in scoring position. That ball got away from the cutoff man, Espinosa, but not far enough away for Phillips to advance any further. And the Reds aren't quite finished yet.
Well, he gets a little sinker that did not do a whole lot of sinking, and right over the head of the shortstop into the left center field gap.
Votto draws the 3-2 walk with 2 out, no one on. Phillips doubles him home. Here's Bruce. Pair of singles today. A hit would tie it. A long ball would win it. Strike 1. Strike 2.
If he pitches Bruce the way he pitched Chu, he's going to go down and away with a sinker or something off speed to move away from Jay Bruce. Tease him with it right here.
Strike 3. On 3 pitches, Bruce strikes out, and the Nationals even this series at a game apiece, surviving in 11. The final score, the Nationals 7 and the Cincinnati Reds 6. We have post-game coverage coming up. The Kings Honda Reds Live post-game right after this.